We're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Ronan Unchained, and welcome to Bottles and Bricks, a Last of Us podcast. This is a random choice, but I thought it was kind of sweet because if you've bothered checking out the channel and this podcast, thank you so much for bothering to check it out. But we've been doing this for 2 years. This podcast. Um, I I didn't think that I would be doing this thing for 2 years. And again, I'm not banging out big numbers and whatnot, but people have more or less checked out the podcast and anything we've done with Last of Us related. So I figured, you know what, looks for a few minutes. Just want to just chill out. If anybody pops in or not, then we'll talk about it. But just want to see what it's like to do a series for 2 years and more or less consistent, but be like, wow, for 2 years we've been doing this show. Um, and timing, it's what it is. But like, I remember when before doing this, I didn't see Ronan today. I was lonely. I'm sorry, Lance. Um, um, yeah, there was some stuff that occurred. I couldn't make it. My bad, bro. But yeah, there was some. It's weird timing because I think, if I'm not mistaken, we did this right before Last of Us Day, and there was only speculations and whatnot. And then it's the same thing this year where we're doing this a month before Last of Us Day, and to be quite frank, I don't know what's gonna happen. I truly don't know what's gonna happen. I from past experience with these days, these celebration days, on a spare occasion they've dropped a trailer, which I believe it was 2 years ago. That was when the trailer dropped. And ever since, it's only been merch stuff here and there. If you went to last year's, I believe, version of the podcast with Di, and I think Busy was there, we were just talking about, like, what about this merch? How come this merch is, just what is it with this? It's just Pearl Jam, a shirt with it just says Pearl Jam and a clicker, and I love the music they've used of Pearl Jam, but I was just underwhelmed by the choice of celebrating the franchise and its fans. So I'm hoping we get a trailer. I'm hoping we get more diving into this and what has been hinting at with these two characters that we've cared for this past season. Granted, if you follow the game, then you know what's coming. You know the dread that will be following this storyline. And I don't know. I truly don't know. And I mean, the big explosion they could do, but I doubt they're really going to do it, is this. Is they finally drop the ignition and just be like, you know what, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. If anything, they might drop this during the Tokyo Game Fest. I think it's coming out either at this end of this year or September, which is around the same time. So who knows? Or maybe they'll hint at this game during Last of Us Day, and then at the festival, okay, here's a tease that we shot a few years ago, the way they did part two. But yeah, it was back to this podcast. It is again, and maybe it's unorthodox the way I'm doing this show, but like, I'm not really doing it week to week just because, with this exception, that there's not much to talk about with the franchise and the shows or the games. It's only when stuff pops, or even when a rumor drops. I'm not really too keen on streaming about it. I'll do a short or something because that's just 30 seconds and boom. But I I love this franchise. I love the people I've been able to meet because of this franchise, and that's been the luxury about doing this podcast, is that once in a while people are sweet enough to come and hang out, and we just geek out about this stuff. We geek about what these characters mean to us, what the music mean to us, which game do we prefer, one or two, what do we think of the comic book series, and man, factions, what the hell? Probably Sam being like, what the hell, man? I've been waiting for factions. Um, so that's been a real luxury. And yeah, I just so appreciative of, again, I'm not, I'm not, I'm realistic, but I'm also not blind to the fact that some people have bothered checking out the show, and it's just a bunch of dudes, mostly dudes, which I want to hopefully improve on that. Just speaking about this and willing to share enthusiasm for it, and I don't take that for granted. I don't take that for granted, and it's cool. It's really cool. Again, I didn't write anything down. I was just like, what the hell am I gonna say about this? But it's 2 years, so it's something special, I think. And hopefully the mic sounds better. I'm still trying to improve on the camera stuff and whatnot. But and oh look, Sam's calling me. Hold on. Let's see if we can do. Hold on. Hey Sam, right now I'm streaming. Yes. Yes. No, it got delayed. I'm live. I'll call you back right now. Yeah. So, um, for those who are new to this, welcome to this. We've been doing this Bottles and Bricks, a Last of Us podcast for 2 years now. My name is Ronan Jane, and you just heard the voice of one of my co-hosts, Samuel Leggett from Team GBS. Go check out his channel and see the bombastic. That was the one weird thing that during our first run, first year, first volume, if you will, of doing this podcast, that as soon as the show hit, and I think we did a pretty good, okay job. We scheduled it, and that scheduling was madness. We recorded a spoiler review for this channel for each episode that was dropping of the show. Then we did a non-spoiler one for Sam's channel, and then we did the following day a live stream for people to join us to comment in the moment, and that was chaotic as hell. But I loved every second of it. I love it. Hopefully, we could do the same thing again for season 2. Hopefully, we can fine tune the minutia of stuff. And yeah, I can't wait for that for this upcoming season. And I hope if more events, the Last of Us stuff, if events pop up that are related to it, I can go to and cover it as part of the podcast. For example, if you're curious what it's like to see Gustavo Santolaya in live format, I went to the Game Awards concert and it was a part of a mini vlog, and I was very, very, very fortunate to meet some people that were part of the Last of Us franchise at the event, and you can go see that. It's on the channel. A particular favorite of mine was when I went to this Gallery Nucleus pop-up event. It was this art gallery slash store in California, and I met three new friends of mine. I met three new friends of mine that I'll consistently talk to on a somewhat regular basis, and it was just a joyous thing that since that event I've been with these folks, and again, folks, like the more, hopefully, I'm hoping that there's more live events related to The Last of Us, and I can go and meet new folks and just expand on this small idea I had. And you know what? It wouldn't it be fun if we just, and I'm not the first person to do it, but like it was something that I was like, how's this gonna go down? So hopefully, another good thing is if The Last of Us goes back to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, and I'm fortunate to go to it, you best believe you'll find something in the channel with that, either a vlog or a meetup or something. I don't know. And yeah, it's it's weird. It's weird, but in the best way possible. Um, So I'll bring this up. We'll just talked about two main things. Last of Us Day, what I would want and hope we would get a teaser. Um, I would want and hope that we would get new merch that doesn't feel like a last minute thing. For example, and I'm working on the flick right now. Dark Horse Comics are putting out these new busts of The Last of Us. Two versions of Ellie. There's one where she's holding her pocket knife, butterfly pocket knife, and the one where she's holding a gun. Coming out of Dark Horse Comics, and I would hope they would promote that more during this, but it's already been set by Dark Horse Comics. Um, Again, it would be nice if they did another big thing that I think people don't realize that it's been 40 years of Naughty Dog. That studio been around for 40 years since the Crash Bandicoot days. And I'm shocked I haven't heard anything yet of like a celebratory event, celebratory stream, people coming together. But then again, people are busy. So, but you would think that in the coming years prior to the 40th anniversary, they'd be like, you know what, we're gonna hit a big milestone. We should do something, not just for us, but also for the fan community that's kept the studio going and it's made it one of the most popular and well-respected ones in the industry of video games and entertainment for my money. So hopefully we get something like that, some new ideas, reports coming out of September, the late September. And for the show, it's going to be tricky with that trailer where I am expecting the way they use Hank Williams Alone and Forsaken in their first teaser for the show, that they use Ellie singing that, Ellie playing the guitar, Bella Ramsey playing that guitar, and walk through the valley just singing and showing moments of her life in Jackson, and then what happens when there's a big turn of events and her life when she's in Seattle. And if you haven't played the game, that's as vague as I'm going to leave it. And there should be a lot to digest with folks to be like, what does this mean? What does that mean? And maybe even hint at where her and Joel are at. Because I think a lot of people who are not used to the video game story, they're wondering, what's that? How's that doing? What's the intensity of that? Because we ended on the cliffhanger, but I would think it's one of the greatest endings of any story I've ever heard, experienced, or seen or heard. So maybe like a minute and a half, 2 minute footage of just Ellie playing the guitar and cut into moments of her life in Jackson, Seattle, while she's playing the guitar, and then walks in Pedro Pascal's Joel, and what are you doing, kiddo? I would not put it past them if they would want to create that. Again, they want to keep it vague, hush, no spoilery stuff, especially for this storyline. You would want to recreate that first announcement teaser that they put out at PlayStation Experience. And for gaming, I how many more times can they remaster the games? Concerning Last of Us, I don't know where else they're gonna go unless they finally do drop the hammer and be like, "Yep, we're doing it." We've had Neil has said he hasn't had a story, but he's had a concept. So who knows if that's developed more or not, or maybe they finally developed that storyline of Tommy, where he said that there was a storyline after the events of part 2 with Tommy, and where that goes. Maybe we'll see in television format or in video game. Who knows? But yeah, I'm very, very intrigued to see what next month will give. And anyways, sorry, some business stuff. Yeah, if any of you have any questions, feel free to drop them, put them down later on if you want. Yeah, this is how I'm not too in tune with the whole online stuff, but just the fact that I'm putting this banner down below and it says Bottles and Breaks, the Last of Us podcast. It's just wild, wild to me. Um, yeah, it's kind of cool. I wasn't able to grab photos, but like I urge people to go back and see some of our previous shows. They're hilarious. I checked a little bit about them, but I think we accomplished what I wanted, which was just like I wanted to feel like what it was for me during high school when you either secretly or intentionally went to like a library and there was a corner in the library where nobody bothered you and you get to like geek out about stuff you normally wouldn't geek out. Like, oh my gosh, you're reading this comic book, you're reading this graphic novel. Oh man, are you ready for at that time phase 2 of the MCU? What do you think is gonna happen? Where they're gonna go? Um, hopefully you get that vibe with us geeking about a lot of podcast. And I'll put this out if in the comments below or in streams. I want more people in this podcast. I want to expand it more than just the usual suspects that you've gotten. Granted, I want those usual suspects to come back, but and my other folks, if I'm not fully aware or know people that are also big Last of Us fans and are enthusiastic, respectful, can have constructive, well-versed conversations, let me know who they are and I'll look into them and I'll reach out, see if they want to be part of this podcast. I want it to grow out more. I don't want to, I love the inner circle that I have of friends, but I also feel like the podcast deserves to expand more of that and look onwards to everywhere else. And again, not just even in the United States. Look into Mexico, look into Japan, look into Canada, where the show is being filmed at. Look elsewhere. I would love to have a variety of folks in the US and then onwards in the world to see, oh, you're in Japan. If you're a big Last of Us fan, cool. Let's geek out about it if we can. And again, another luxury of this podcast growing is that Johnny. Again,
Yo.
hey man, we didn't even meet in this podcast. We met in another podcast,
Yep.
and casually we would talk about like Last of Us stuff, and I'm like, I messaged him like, dude, you're a Last of Us fan? He's like, look at my
Yeah, look at my tattoo.
okay. Oh shit! I was like, okay, we gotta talk about you're coming in, you're being part of the podcast.
Yeah, I'm what some may call a fanboy, But
Yeah, how you
yeah,
been, bro?
I'm a Last of Us fan. I'm good. How are you been, bro?
I'm good. We're only gonna do this for like 15 more minutes probably, and then we gotta boot because apparently I got some stuff to work out on. But
Mm-hmm.
there's not much to talk about except that I've been doing this show for 2 years, and we're a month away from Last of Us Day. And I think the big thing that we're all of us Last of Us fans are just scratching our heads is what else are they gonna drop? Because no one's hinted at a trailer. Like, just to be perfectly clear, for us, it's logical they would drop. The timing would be perfect if they dropped a teaser now beyond what we saw, coming soon to HBO Max.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they drop a trailer, but like that can't be the only thing they drop. So, what do
No.
you think we're gonna get out of Last of Us Day?
Well, first, congratulations on 2 years of the podcast. That's dope.
Thanks, man.
I mean, I think if we don't get a trailer, that's a massive fumble and just missed opportunity. For Last of Us Day, I mean, we know we're gonna get merch. I think the trailer would be bare minimum.
Yeah,
I think maybe we'll get maybe set photos or not set photos, but like official released photos of maybe some cast members we haven't seen.
yeah,
And they'll probably just give like, general info about the show, kind of like a mini like presentation thing. Maybe like we'll get a trailer, maybe we'll get like a little press release of like, oh, here's the story of season 2, here's some of the characters from season 2, just kind of like, general info stuff for people that don't know part 2. And then obviously for us, we'll be eating it up like, ooh, and like see what they're kind of hinting at, what they're going to do.
yeah,
I don't know. I think it would be cool maybe if they just did like, I feel like they usually do live streams on Last of Us Day. So maybe if they had like a live stream with Neil and Craig, maybe you get, I mean, I don't think you'll be able to get Pedro right now just because of Fantastic Four and everything.
yeah.
But, Neil and Craig is enough for me. Maybe you get Bella or somebody else, or maybe you get like, I don't know, some of the newcomers like Isabella or Caitlyn or something. I think you got to drop a trailer, and I think maybe some like official photos, that kind of stuff. Game side of things, I would love some game info. Like, yes, The Last of Us 3 is happening, but I feel like that would be like grand slam. Like, we really like they went crazy and like really were
Yeah,
just giving us everything.
yeah,
I think definitely a trailer. I think that's a safe bet. Because yeah, if we already saw footage for the little what's coming soon, like they have a trailer. They
yeah,
finished shooting too, so like they definitely have enough to make a trailer.
yeah.
So that's my expectation at least.
I agree. I feel like if you've been shooting this long, somewhere down the
Hmm.
path, you'd be like, oh, you know what? We're gonna be wrapping up right before Last of Us Day. We should set something up for the fans, and I would say keep it vague as possible. Have Ellie
Yeah.
singing, through the valley, and then just have
Yep.
her singing throughout, and just showing us footage of like the good times and then the bad times of what's coming. And I feel like a trailer shouldn't be the only thing. I think again, it's Last of Us Day. It should be a celebratory thing. I feel
Yeah.
like it wouldn't hurt if they pimped out cool new merch that doesn't feel like a
Hmm.
last minute drop.
Yeah.
Um, Something that shouldn't feel like pre-recorded months ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Something actually like unique and different than just like here's another statue or like here's another shirt of like I don't know
a
like
little bit of build up. Like I think something that I've argued for since I've started the show is just like that American Daughters comic book series is so good. And again,
hmm
you don't have to have read it if you play the game, but it enhances it a little bit if you know the characters and know the games. And
yeah.
I can only imagine what it's like to folks who never touched the game of the show, but know that book and how their
Hmm.
experience that the connection to that world and those characters are with that book. And so I would figure, you know what, do announce something that you've been working on, which I would assume do a comic book, do another comic book series of
That'd be
like,
cool.
if you really want us to have a little bit of balance in terms of humility
Hmm.
towards characters that are not Joan Ellie. Expand on that on a comic book series. See where that takes us.
Yeah, build the world out.
Maybe if Faith Erin Hicks is busy or is doing her own thing, then find somebody who loves the franchise as much as she did and give them a taste. There's so many artists and creatives in the comic book series that I can see right now that I'm like, oh, I would love to see what they could do with the last was a particular favorite of mine is someone. There's an artist called Zoe Thorogood who
Mm.
has done some. She did this recent hack and slash miniseries. She's done her own creative own stuff. Her art is very anime inspired, and I'm like, if she can draw Joe and Ellie or anybody in the Last of Us world and give her 4 issues to tell a story, she can knock it out of the ballpark. And
Yeah.
I would feel, and here's another shocking thing. It's also not just Last of Us Day, but I mean, now it passed, but this year's the anniversary of Naughty Dog. It's 40 years of this studio
That's
having
true. I forgot
existed.
about that.
And you would think they would announce, like, oh, we're doing an event, a celebratory event to honor not just Last of Us, but
Just the
Uncharted, Crash
company, yeah.
Bandicoot, Jack and Daxter, and just, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I feel like they should at least announce what they're working on.
Yeah.
Like even just say like, yeah, it's a completely new IP, or yeah, it's The Last was Part 3, or yeah, it's whatever. And I throw it back to the comic book thing. One thing I thought that was kind of interesting is I'm going to cause PTSD maybe for some Last of Us fans, but Factions 2. There was like, I remember at the, what was it, Games Fest when we got the first look at the show, Neil was talking about how there's like an actual story going on for Factions 2, and you're going to follow a new group of like survivors in a new location. And you had that really cool concept art of like the people on the rooftop and the huge like cruise ship thing. If that mode is, I mean, it's scrapped, it's not happening. Make a comic out of it then for like the story that
Mm-hmm.
you had. Why not? I mean, if you already were building out a story for it, at least don't let everything from that mode go to waste.
Yeah.
Like at least maybe the story's worth telling. Put it as a comic book. You know, it's its own thing. You put the Last of Us name on it, you'll get some people like you and me that'll read it just because it's in the universe. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be for everyone, but it might as well not let that story go to waste. That's kind of where my mind went instantly with like maybe a new comic. That'd be if you already were working on a new story,
Or a
might as well.
novel. I
or a
think
novel. Yeah.
again, I'm not trying to make this excuse my language, a dick measuring contest, but
Hmm.
like across the pond, we have our fellow post-apocalyptic cousins in The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
and I just look at what they've done with expansion. Like there's a Telltale's game,
Hmm.
and there's comic books, and there's also a Clementine book, and I'm
Yeah.
like an offshoot of a character from the Telltale games, and I'm like, you're telling me that we can't do a similar thing yet not be like The Walking Dead, and it's just
Yeah.
like I look at it, or even do something like um, Wolverine: The Long Night, which is a scripted podcast, and where it was like just for
Yeah.
10 hours, 8 hours, you tell a scripted story in podcast format where you hear sound effects in one eye, and you just follow a story in the Last of Us world, and you may even
That'd be
hear,
cool.
you know, it's not like that one place in Jackson, and you're like, oh, they're talking about Jackson, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. I feel like, and maybe who knows? I just hope if they're not giving us more than what we usually gotten, I hope there's very, very, very good reason for that.
Yeah.
And again, you guys, this is studio put out it's Last of Us Day, so it's like I hope if you're not willing to put out new stuff for us, at least make us have a connection with the fan community and reach out to us to be like, hey, do you want to do a stream with other fans and just vibe about the franchise, talk about it? We'll set something up for you here in LA, or we'll give you any tools you need. Just that way, if we're not putting anything for the community, let the community do something for the franchise and for the characters and for us to see
Yeah.
how we can mesh more with the interactive way instead of just on the joystick.
Absolutely. I mean, even like thinking about stories and stuff that people would want. I mean, I know a lot of people want to see like a Joel and Tommy origin type thing. Like, what was Tommy having nightmares about? What was all the terrible stuff they did? You might
Yeah,
want to keep it mysterious, but I mean, that's something that Last of Us fans will eat up. Even people that don't like part two. Like, if you put out a book or like if you put out anything that's like a Joel and Tommy origin, like it's gonna go crazy. They have a lot of opportunities to do things. It's just a matter of if they're gonna do it or not. Like I know they're busy and they're working on a whole bunch of stuff. And obviously they have the culture of like perfectionism and stuff, so they really like hunker down when they do things. But I mean, it'd be nice to get fed a little bit more content because let's be real, we love Naughty Dog, but it could be rough sometimes. You could go 5 years without anything.
yeah.
So it'd be nice just to get something. Like,
I
I
thought about right
mean,
now, like even the Quiet Place has now done like
yeah,
with their two films is like we covered the first day that everything went down and a year or two into it, and we covered the first day from two different sides.
yeah,
The John Krasinski, Emily Blunt side, and what Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn are doing in New York when shit went down. So like you can do The Last of Us
yeah,
year one. That sounds cliche, like a very Batman thing, but it's like you do okay. How did that first year go
hmm,
with that? And again, it might give folks PTSD, but that pandemic, like I know what we went through, but it's just like how did
yeah.
they
I
went through
mean,
with it because their thing, I don't know. It'd be a very good commentary of like how do you go at something that is inevitably gonna cause a lot of harm, and how
hmm,
to react to it, and how do people react to it, and how quickly do they lose their humanity, or how much do they fight to keep their humanity? I mean, there's so much you can tell with year one, or the 10th anniversary of when the day the Earth fell, or something like that. I don't know. It's some
and I think the
cliche.
show did an amazing job with that too. Because in the game,
Yeah.
you really, I was gonna say in general, like we only see little like we only see a couple spots like in America, but then I thought about the show. Remember, and we have that awesome opening in overseas. I
Two.
forget where it is overseas. Yeah, in episode
Yeah.
2.
Bum.
Yeah, like you could just see. There's so much you could do. Yeah, you could literally do a quiet place. Be like, okay, like we saw Joel and how he handled it, and then in the show we saw overseas. You could go to different places in America. You could go to different spots all over the globe. Like you could do so much with it, and it would just be interesting perspectives just to see everything. Like we've seen mostly like big city or decent sized city settings. What about a more rural setting, like just in the woods, and then all of a sudden the outbreak happens, maybe they don't even know about it. They're just hanging out, and all of a sudden, clickers and runners are showing up. Like,
Yeah.
you could do so much with the universe that it really is endless possibilities. It's like The Walking Dead. I mean, they've been milking The Walking Dead forever. Just tons of spin-offs, games. I mean, they had what, Daryl went to freaking France or Paris, or even to Paris or something. Like, I mean, you could do whatever you want with The Last of Us. Same thing. It's just endless possibilities. It's just, I get they don't probably want to milk it like The Last of Us. I mean, like The Walking Dead did, because you could say what you want about some of the spin-offs and quality, but there's a
But
lot. There's
something,
endless possibilities.
yeah, I would say that. We're gonna have to wrap up this show, but like The Walking Dead and like Last of Us, we have endless possibilities. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we've just scratched the surface of what this show could do. And like
Mm-hmm.
I told everybody before you jumped on, Johnny, like
Mm-hmm.
at one point, I want either on a regular basis or semi-regular basis, I want our inner circles of people we've had here in the show thus far, and then I want people from Mexico. I want people from Canada. I want people from Japan. I want to see how
Absolutely.
that vibe feels, and it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
our way of telling the story of like, okay, how did you deal with when the Earth went down? How did you
Mm-hmm.
deal with it in Japan and whatnot? And you could take. Oh, I have crazy ideas for that.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody who bothered checking out this stream, thank you so much for checking out. Gianni, thanks for stopping by, man, and just hanging out with you for a little bit.
Thank you for having me.
Plug your channel, plug what you do, man. Where can people find you?
I mean, I'm been a little busy recently, so I've been putting out videos, but usually I do movie reviews. When Last of Us stuff starts happening, I do want to make some Last of Us videos. Right now, honestly, I'm mostly streaming Fortnite with my friends just because it's all I have time to do, and I'll do like music streams on Twitch and stuff. But once Last of Us trailers and news starts coming out, I'll be trying to cover some of that on stream, and I'm sure I'll probably play part two again before season two comes out, just to torture myself again, in the best way possible. And I'll probably be on here.
Oh
As
yeah,
long as I don't get Ronan banned off YouTube, I'll be here.
no,
I'm usually a better boy on this show than I am on console, so I won't do that to you. I just like to torture Chainsaw a little bit.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, folks, this we've just scratched an itch of the surface. We haven't even gotten to the bottom of the bottle of the Coca-Cola bottle.
Nope.
Folks, as always, I'll say this: when you're lost in darkness, look for the light. To the edge of the universe and back. Endurance of light. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for checking out our reactions, our streams, and know that this is just the beginning. No matter where we're at, this is just the beginning. So take care, and I'll see you, Space Cowboys.